right, it is solving time. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equations. Technically, that one's an inequality that all have to do with absolute value. So something to remember, sorry as I adjust my camera, absolute value is a distance from 0. So the number 3 is 3 units from 0, but so is -3. So if we have something within absolute value, that means that it could be, in the case of number 4, 8, +8, that is 8 units away from 0, or it could be -8, which is also 8 units away from 0. The goal with absolute value is you must first isolate anything within the absolute value brackets. All right, so you got to get everything else around the absolute value brackets gone. So when we look at number 4, and I'm going to zero this in because the light's a little harsh right now. When we look at number 4, we got to go ahead and say, okay, absolute value is 8. So 3x minus 2 could equal +8, or 3x minus 2 could equal -8. So we're going to solve for x in both cases and get 2 answers for x. All right, so to start with first one, add 2, 3x equals 10, divide the 3, x equals 10 over 3. Yay, answer number 1 done. All right, add the 2, 3x equals -6. Divide the 3, x equals -2. Done. 2 answers. Okay, absolute value does create the possibility of 2 answers because you don't know if it's at the positive location 8 or the negative location 8. All right, number 5, absolute value is already isolated, so all I have to do is set up my 2 versions. 9 minus n over 2 equals 12, and 9 minus n over 2 equals -12. So I'm going to subtract my 9, negative n over 2 equals 3, and then I'm going to multiply by -2. That's going to cancel out both the negative and the fraction and get me n equals -6. So there's answer number 1. Negative -9 on both sides, so the other side now. Negative n over 2 equals -21. Multiply by -2. And I get n equals +42. All right, so there are my 2 answers. We're good to go. Now, if you notice, number 6 says solve and graph. So when we graph these, we're going to get 2 answers, and we're going to show a direction in which the answers could go. So for number 6, solve and graph, the absolute value is already by itself, so I don't have to do any work here. I go ahead and say 2x minus 7 is less than 4, but notice the difference here. I'm sorry, if you hear noise in the background, 1, there's some dishes being washed, and 2, there's some cats going crazy. They're just running laps. I don't know why. So anyway, 2x minus 7. Now watch what happens here. Yeah, we say -4, just like we switched the sign in the previous examples, but we're also going to change the direction. So when we solve absolute value inequalities, you have to remember to both change the value sign, so positive to negative, and the directional sign. So you just got to change that direction. All right, here we go. Let's solve for x. So we add 7 on both sides. I get 2x is less than 11, and then I divide by 2. So I get x is less than 11 over 2. There's answer number 1. All right, add 7, I get 2x is greater than 3, and then divide the 2, and I get x is greater than 3 over 2. So for number 6, I'm going to go over to my number line. All right, here's my number line, and I'm going to plot this out. Open circles, and then 3 over 2 and 11 over 2. All right, 3 over 2 because it's less than 11 over 2, so it goes to the left side. Now let's look at how these arrows are pointing. This says x is greater than. So greater than means it's going greater or to the right of 3 over 2 versus x is less than. So here's 11 over 2, less than 11 over 2. And there's my graph answer. All right, so there are 1, 2, 3 absolute value problems. I'm going to keep it rolling and we're going to get 7 and 8 done. Sorry, my camera just bugged out because I accidentally blocked it with my finger. All right, 7's different. And so because 7's different, I'm actually going to end on 7 and then I'll do the last 3 all together. But the reason 7 is different is because it asks for how many possible solutions does this have? Well, let's go ahead and get started to solve this out, because maybe if we solve it out, we'll find out how many answers. The other examples that we had 2 answers each. See, 2 answers, 2 answers. For number 7, though, the fact that they asked me this question means that something might be different about it. So I'm going to go ahead, and this -3 is being multiplied, so I have to remove it with division. So divide by -3, divide by -3. I get the absolute value of x plus 4 equals -1. And this is where I'm going to stop right here. This is impossible. And the reason that this is impossible is because absolute value must be positive. And when I say that, I'm talking about when we have just the absolute value brackets set up like this. Because remember, this is telling us distance. So what is happening here is this weird contradiction that says x plus 4 is a distance of -1. That is impossible. You can't have a negative distance. So we do not even have any solutions, no solution. All right, because the absolute value is set up equal to a negative number, that is impossible. The previous examples, look at this, the previous examples equal to positive number, equal to positive number, that was good. Okay, that distance was 8, that distance was 12. This distance is -1 and that is impossible. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording here and I will pick back up with the last 3 problems in the next video.